Okay, well, let me officially welcome you. So before we start Algebra 1, we're going to go back and we're going to review. We're going to review what you did last year. So henceforth, you will be called my mathematical minions because as you follow me and we lead along as we're going. So let's jump right in. There are 8 things that we're going to review before we start. We've got to evaluate expressions using positive and negative numbers. We're going to use proper order of operations to simplify expressions. We're going to look at using the distributive property and combining similar terms. We're going to translate words into variable expressions. Those are the 4 we're going to do today. Then we're going to solve some one-step equations using reciprocals and inverses. We're going to solve 2-step equations. We're going to solve word problems by substituting in data. And then we're going to solve multi-step equations that involve the distributive property and combining of similar terms. So those are the 8 things we need to review before we can officially start Algebra 1. So let's jump right in. So first of all, evaluate expressions using positive and negative numbers. Well, if you remember, the term expression means it's not an equation. There aren't an equal sign. We're not solving for anything. We're simply kind of combining like terms. So look up here. We got a couple things going on here. We've got this right here. There's no symbol right here. We realize when there's no symbol as we have right here, that tells us that we're going to multiply. So here we've got to multiply, and then here we've got to add. So let's look at these. 4 times negative 5, multiplying those 2 together. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, but a positive times a negative is a negative. So we've got negative 20. Now we've got this plus 12. So negative 20 plus 12, well, we start on the negative side, we add 12, we get negative 8. So there's our final answer there. So look over here. Notice nothing right here, no symbol between it. That means we multiply. Over here, what happens? Oh, same thing. No symbol between those 2 in parentheses. So we multiply. So negative 3 times negative 5. Well, negative times a negative, those 2 cancel out. Positive 15. And then we have a positive 15 times a positive 2. Now, you don't have to put them in parentheses. I just do it so that I know it's multiplying. You could put the dot there in between to show that. So 15 times 2, this one gives us a 30. So there's our final answer there. So look at the bottom. Evaluate the following for x equals 4 and y equals 6. So evaluate. Here again, we're not solving. They're just expressions. But what we're going to do is we're going to plug in. It says that x equals 4. So right here where it says 2 times x, here again, just like before, there's no symbol in between. So that means we multiply. So this right here, if we looked at it, it really says 2 times 4 plus y. Well, we know from up here that y equals 6. So we have 2 times 4, which is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. So our answer right here, this one is 14. Over here, notice it here. It says x plus y. Hey, let's go ahead and add something to this. Let's make it an x plus y squared. Let's make it a little more interesting. So here, we know that x is 4, y is 6. So really this says 4 plus 6. And then we're going to square this just to make it more fun. So 4 plus 6 is 10. To square it, that means to multiply it by itself. So that means 10 times 10. So 10 times 10, this one is 100. So there, our first one, evaluate expressions using positive and negative numbers. Done, checked it off, we're good to go. Next one, using proper order of operations to simplify expressions. So order of operations, you remember from the past that a couple of ways that you were taught. You were either taught PEMDAS, remember this one? This is parentheses. So I'm just going to parentheses. So that's parentheses. And then you had exponents. Okay? Exponents. And then we had multiply. Writing down is kind of difficult. Multiply. Then we had divide. And then we had add. And then we had subtract. So that was PEMDAS. That was just an order of operations. We always do parentheses first. Now, then it got changed. Some of you may have learned Gemma. I kind of like that one a little better. It says we grouping. We deal with grouping first. So anything, not just parentheses, but grouping. Exponent still goes next. Okay? Exponents is still next. And realize this M, well, this is multiply and divide. So if we look at it, really multiplication and division, we do those 2 at the same time. We just go left to right, just like we're reading. The same thing for add and subtract. It's not really addition before subtraction, but we just work left to right, so it really doesn't matter. So looking at these, So we've got 20, look at our symbols. We've got a minus here, we've got subtraction, we've got division. So according to Gemma or PEMDAS, which one do we do first? We divide first. So that means this is 20 minus 6 divided by 2 is 3. 20 minus 3, this is 17. Now notice you got to be careful, because if you just went left to right, you'd go 20 minus 6, 14. 14 divided by 2, you'd get 7. Well, it's not 7, it's 17. All right, so over here, look what we've got. We've got addition. Here we've got some multiplication. Here we've got subtraction, but we've also got parentheses. So what do we do first? Parentheses. So in parentheses, we're going to subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. So we've got 4 plus 3. In parentheses, we now have 1. So now we've got addition and we've got multiplication. We multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. So we've got 4 plus 3. That means our final answer is 7. Final answer is 7. Okay, so let's look at this next one. Explain the error in the following problem. So notice here, we have addition, we have division. Which one should come first? You're right, it should be division first. So this should be 16 plus 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we should have 16 plus 4. And then 16 plus 4 is 20. But notice what happened right here. What did they do? They added first. So explain the error. Their error is right here. And what happened was they added instead of dividing first. So that would be your explanation. So they added instead of dividing first. So that's what, you've got to be able to do that. You should be able to look at them as far as order of operations and figure out where the error is. Not just for problems like this, but when you're helping your classmates or when you're helping your younger brother or sister that's working on this in younger grades. You should be able to look at what's going on and say, oh, okay, take a look. And sometimes they won't make an error. I mean, sometimes they get it right. All right, so let's look at this one. Use the distributive property and combine similar terms. Okay, distributive property. Remember, this is when we take something that's outside of a parentheses and we apply it, we multiply to everything inside. In similar terms, the term similar means that they are alike. So this is when we have things that are alike to each other, like we have x's or h's. So let's distribute. We're going to take this 4 that's out here, and notice it's multiplication because there's no symbol right here, and we're going to multiply it by x. 4 times x is 4x, and then we're going to multiply it by 5. So we have plus 4 times 5 is 20. So are there any similar terms? Well, here I have 4 x's, here I have the number 20, so no similar terms. We're done. Good to go. So let's go over here. Distribute this -2 to everything inside. So -2 times 3h. Well, -2 times a +3, that's -6h. And then we have -2 times this +6. So -2 times a +6 is a -12. Okay? Any similar terms? Well, this is h's. This is not an h. These are just numbers. So no similar terms. We're good. Okay, so let's look here. No distributive property. So looks like we're just going to evaluate the expression. We're going to combine similar terms. Well, look, we have 4g's here and 5g's here. Well, 4g's plus 5g's, that would be like g plus g plus g plus g. There's 4g's. And then if I had 5 more plus g, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. So what do I have? I have 9g's. That's what it means to be combined similar terms. 4g's here and 5g's here. If I add them all up, I have 9g's. Minus 7. We can't combine g's and 7's. They're not different. They're not the same, sorry. So there we go. So now here, ooh, distributive property. So distribute the 3. 3 times 2t, 6t. 3 times, notice right here, this is a -6. That means we have a -18 or -18. Now we have -12 from out here. Any like terms? 6t's, not t, not t. Oh, hey, these two are alike. So look, 6t, it's nothing to do with that. -18 minus 12 more, that's a -30 or a -30. So there we go. We've combined our similar terms. We've used distributive property. So that's another important skill from last year. All right. And finally, translate words into variable expressions. So we've got to be able to translate words. Well, in order to do that, we need to understand what these words mean. Double. What does it mean to double something? Well, that means to multiply by 2. To double something means to multiply by 2. What does triple mean? It means to, multiply by 3. Okay. Square. Well, to square something, that means to multiply by itself. Okay, that means to multiply by itself. Product, well, product just means to multiply. Hopefully you've got all these terms, you know this. Quotient, that means to divide. Hopefully you've memorized these terms, and it's to diminish. That means to subtract, okay? Sometimes they'll say subtract, sometimes they'll say decrease, but diminish means to subtract. It means to get smaller. All right, cube, to cube. This means, well, remember we had square up there. Square means to multiply by itself once, okay? So, well, multiply by itself. So we're going to multiply by itself. So an example of 2 squared would be 2 times 2. That's squared. So we're going to be to multiply by itself. And this one's going to be 3 times, because that's what cube looks like. So 2 cubed would be 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? Reciprocal. Okay? So this means the inverse of something. So for example, the reciprocal, it means to flip the fraction. All right? So the reciprocal means to flip, and that's not a mathematical term, but it means to flip the fraction. Remember, if you take the reciprocal, we flip the fraction. So for example, 2/3, if we have 2/3, the reciprocal is 3/2. Okay? If we have, say, a, the reciprocal of a is 1/a, because really this a is a/1. All right? So the opposite, well, this means the negative, or change the sign. Okay? It means negative or change the sign. So what's the opposite of 2? Or what's the opposite of -2? The opposite of -2 would be 2. Okay? So those are some different terms as we look at those. And we kind of examine those things. So, well, looks like okay, you noticed I kind of had to expand the screen there. We were kind of running out of room. Okay, so let's look down here at the bottom. So it says to double x. What does it mean to double x? Well, double, that means to multiply by 2. So to double x would be 2x. Okay, so look at this last one here. To square p and diminish by 3. So square means to multiply by itself. So if we square p, that would be p squared, okay? And diminish by 3. Well, diminish, remember, means to subtract, so we would subtract 3. Okay, so hopefully this first half of 8th grade, we just covered it in about 13 minutes, reviewed the first half of it, those 4 things. We'll come back with another video for tomorrow night and look at the others. Hopefully this will help. We're going to practice these in class. So good luck, and I will see you later.